Hey, this is Cerise from CeriseFairfax.com. Thank you for joining me. Well, if you missed the workshop on Saturday, October 13th, the topic was fear. And if you missed it, then here is a fill-in. So, we spoke about fear. Because fear is something that is very prevalent in today's society. A lot of people are fearful of losing their home, losing their car, losing their families, and also losing their lives. So these days it's called anxiety. Back in the day when, population was more or less caveman style, people would be afraid. They would kill that fear because it would normally be a lion or a bear or something of that nature. And then when the bear or the lion was deceased, the fear would go away. These days, the fear is a little different. And so because of that, the fear builds up in somebody and it builds up, and normally it takes over their mind and it causes them to have anxiety. And that's why it is so important to practice mindfulness, being in the moment, paying attention to yourself and knowing exactly what is going on around you. Self-awareness and watching what others are doing, what you are doing, and being empathetic to others, having good social skills, and learning how to respond to others on a very balanced level. You see, these are things in life that come very simple. However, they're only something that will last if we work on them every day. You see, we all have emotions. We're born with emotions, and fear is an emotion. Imagine life without emotions. Just stop, take a moment right now, and imagine the lack of expression. Imagine not being able to express happiness, even sadness, anger, disgust, surprise. See, so expression of life is very important. Otherwise, life would be dull and boring, and why even live it if we don't have expression and emotions? So fear is an important aspect of our life. It lets us know that there is a clear and present danger. However, obsessing with fear is not a good thing. Fear is a part of the human makeup. And we know this because if you were to take a deaf person and a person who can hear and scare them both, and then take a picture of them, and then show that picture to somebody else who was not sure of which one was hearing impaired, they wouldn't be able to pick which one is hearing impaired. Not at all. They would be like, well, I don't know which one. Because the hearing impaired person, even though they have never heard the sound of fear, would still make the same face that a fearful person would make, and the same noise. Take a blind person, for instance. The exact same situation. A blind person never saw the face of fear. Scare them, and they will make that face of fear. You see, fear is something that is ingrained in our DNA. It's important to have it, again, because it is an indicator that danger is around. You can't just tell somebody to stop being afraid, because once they are afraid, there is a part in their brain called the amygdala, and the amygdala takes over. The amygdala is part of the conscious mind, the frontal cortex, and the frontal cortex is responsible for conscious thought. It helps us with our judgments and our reactions and also our actions. The amygdala itself, you see, it is the main regulator for our emotions, and so it takes over our conscious mind. We stop thinking, we start sweating, we start shaking when fear is present. So you can't just tell someone to stop having fear. You have to actually help calm them down, talk them out of fear. Don't push them out of fear. People don't want to fear. It's not something they enjoy. In my opinion, most countries go to war because they are afraid. Yes, granted, most of them are greedy and they want to get what they can get from other countries. But some of them are just afraid of being destroyed. They're afraid of another country becoming stronger. They're afraid of their own country, losing money, and not being able to be a strong force. Fear also destroys many relationships. One time I had a friend, very handsome guy, and I saw him, met him up on the street one day, and we got to talking. And he told me he had a new girlfriend, and she was around the corner shopping, and this was all in the mall. And so she comes around the corner and outside the mall, and I see her, and she's the most beautiful thing. And I introduced myself to her, and all the three of us got to chit-chatting, and everything was great. And then when I was having an event, I called him up and told him, why don't you come on by with your girlfriend? I'd love to have you both there. So my event came, and he showed up alone. And I asked him, where's your girlfriend? And he said he left her. And I'm like, you left her? Why did you leave her? And he said, well, she was jealous. And I'm thinking, jealous? This woman was beautiful. What would she have to be jealous of? And who? Most women would be so jealous of her. So I asked him. I said, well, what was she jealous of? And he said, well, she was always accusing me of cheating on her and flirting with other women. And I said, well, I don't know if that was jealousy. I think that was a little insecurity and fear, more or less. She was afraid that he would move to someone else would take him away, that he would cheat on her. And, I think that's more than jealousy. I think that's fear, and again, insecurity. So she ended up destroying her relationship because of her fear. She didn't have the ability to, or she didn't exercise the strength to hold back that fear, and she just allowed it to all come out, and it turned him off, and he didn't want to have anything to do with her any longer. We know that babies are in fear. Babies cry in the dark. And there was a case study done with a few babies. Okay, so what they did was they put these babies on a ledge. And when the babies got to the end of the ledge, the mother was there. And the mother was calling the baby. Now, if the mother had a face of fear, 5 times out of 5, that baby wasn't jumping. And then they redid the experiment, and they found that if the mother had a look of happiness and encouragement, 4 times out of 5, the baby jumped. Now, that I think that shows that obviously 5 times out of 5 babies didn't jump, but at least 4 out of 5 did. And it shows that if there's some kind of happiness and encouragement, even a baby will jump. But if there's fear, a baby will be like, whoa, what's going on here? I'm not jumping down. If mommy looks scared, what's going on around me? And the babies get frozen solid. They don't even know what to do. Their mother looks scared. They're not about to jump into their mother's arms. Right? You would think the opposite. You would think that they would jump into their mother's arms because they would feel that's the safest place. But no, most times they just sat there and didn't jump. I had a moment of fear myself last week. It was 2 o'clock in the morning, and I was up late working on a few projects, and my fire alarm went off. Instead of trying to use common sense, I was struck with fear immediately. I thought to myself, it's 2 o'clock in the morning, and it sounds like maybe it's a real fire, because usually the fire alarms would go off during the day if it was a false alarm, because there's a lot more people active during the day and stuff like that. It never went off in the whole time that I lived in this building at 2 o'clock in the morning. So I went into my son's room, and I woke him up, and I tapped him on the bottom of his foot, and he's a big boy. He's like 18 years old almost, and big football player looking dude. And I slapped him on the bottom of the foot very nicely, and I said, wake up, T. There's a fire alarm on. And he looked at me, and the first thing I said to him was, don't panic. So, he's a pretty solid, reserved guy, and he didn't panic. And so what happened was I went into my bedroom, and I told him, collect what is important to you just in case. So I went into my bedroom, and I'm looking around, and I'm thinking, what's important to me? So I got my hard storage key with my book on it, because I didn't email it to myself yet. So I thought, that's nice and small. I'll put it in my pocket. And then I thought to myself, I better get some shoes and a jacket on. So I went into my closet, the front door closet, and I saw my favorite shoes. I thought, you know what? I might as well take my favorite shoes. And they were summer shoes. So then I thought to myself, it is October, so I might as well get a jacket. And I looked for a jacket and I thought, let me get my favorite jacket. And of course, it was a winter coat. So here I am with my pajamas on, which would just kind of throw on pajamas, a Green Bay Packers oversized sweater and purple looking jogging pants that I just happened to throw on that night before as I was doing my projects. And I have my winter jacket on, I have my summer shoes on, and I go to my son, all right, are you ready? Just in case, we have to be prepared. And he looks at me and he's like, yeah, but he gives me a look like, are you crazy? So I couldn't figure out why he gave me that look. So anyway, I go into the kitchen and I look out the window. We live on the 11th floor. So I look down to the ground floor from my big windows and I'm looking to see where the fire truck is and everything. But because it was 2 o'clock in the morning, outside was dark, my kitchen light was on. I was able to see the reflection of myself in the window, in the kitchen window. Now, when I saw the reflection of myself, I saw what fear did to me. Fear turned me to fool. I'm so serious. Here I am with a winter jacket on, summer shoes on, oversized jogging pants and top. Oh, I couldn't believe it. And here my dog is, Magic. She's running all around barking, thinking, Mom, don't leave me. The whole time the fire alarm is going on. And I'm like wondering, oh my gosh, what is happening? My heart's beating fast, and even though I told my son don't panic, a part of me was panicking. And now I do like to think that I have good intuition, but just to let you know, no matter how good someone's intuition is, that also goes out the window when the amygdala takes over. Because the intuition is a part of the brain that is controlled by the subconscious and conscious mind, I believe, and the amygdala takes control over that when it is ready to. So, no matter who you are, you will experience fear. And at that moment, you really have to calm yourself down, relax yourself. Otherwise, panic will take over, your heart rate will speed up, and you will worry. Did you know that worry over time, if you're just worrying about things like finances and relationships and your children, it can turn your hair gray? Your hair could even possibly fall out. Worry causes acne and, worst of all, heart disease. Yes, and did you know that fear and worry are huge contributors of mental illness? This is why we need to become mindful. Again, mindfulness helps us to behave calm when immersed in emotion. Training the mind even when we aren't using emotions is the most important thing. We may be calm at the moment, but we need to, during our calm moments, learn how to train our thoughts. Everybody, I want you to right now take a moment. Close your eyes and think of something, anything at all. We're going to take 10 seconds. And during that 10 seconds, if you find that your mind flows away from the thing that you chose to think about, gently pull it back to what you chose to think about. Now I'm going to start counting to 10. Okay. During that 10 seconds, did your mind flow to something else other than what you chose to think about? Most likely it did. And if it did, that just means you have to strengthen your mind. If it didn't, good for you. Try to do it for 20 seconds, and then again, try to do it for a minute. So the more you do that, and the more you strengthen your mind, and you have mind focus, the more mindful you become, and the less likely you will have anxiety or fear or worry take over you. All right, everybody, just a couple of more tips. Remember, to prevent emotions from controlling you, sleep more regularly, listen to more music, have a healthy relationship with God, and enjoy yourself with laughter. Thank you very much for listening to CeriseFairfax.com, and we'll be talking soon.